What's up, everybody? It is Jadu and Jonah of the Cash Compound, helping you crack the code to cash flow, building wealth without ever locking your money up, giving up control, or taking on risk. And today we're talking about whether or not you overpay in taxes. Sure. And what's your kind of tax strategy, tax history, tax problems?
Sure.
Delinquent payments.
Well, I hope not. Well, I think so. On that base question, are you overpaying in taxes? I think the average person, the average maybe W-2 employee, person with a job, I think that they don't think they're overpaying in taxes.
I agree with that. And here's what we're here to prove to you today on our podcast. Remember to check us out in lots of different platforms, but we're going to go over what most people are missing when it comes to taxes and the IRS. So, Jonah, tell us why you think that the average person who is going to be a W-2 employee is actually just not aware of what they owe, and they're giving the government too much.
Sure. So I think it's actually pretty simple. I think that, again, I'll say it in my statement, I think that a regular W-2 employee, even though they don't think they're overpaying in taxes, I believe that they are overpaying in taxes. Here's why. I believe that the average person, so I'm going to put myself even in that category, the average person, okay? I've had lots of W-2 type jobs, employee type jobs. I think that the average person has absolutely no tax training.
Yes,
and then
correct.
At the end of the year, we try to do our own taxes.
That is, yes.
For that reason, I think the average person overpays in taxes.
So what we need to help you guys understand, number one, is that if you look at it over the course of your lifetime, your working lifetime, your lifespan, that they say that, you know, death and taxes are certain, right? The number one expense that you actually have in your life is taxes.
Yeah,
that is the number one expense. So you have to look at that, because to really dive deep, you need to go look at it from a sky view before you dive deep. And from the sky view, you've got to realize that the government, now we're talking about, you know, American government here.
Sure.
We also do some work in Canada, but we don't know everything about Canadian taxes.
Right.
And other places around the world. But you've got to realize that the government put in place in 1913 an income tax system that was going to take your money. Back in the first 20 years, you had to report all of it yourself and do it all yourself. And in the 30s, they started to take money from your paychecks. And you've got to realize that that is, of course, if you're making $10 an hour, that is money you've earned and someone else is taking. And I think that our great-great-grandparents understood that well, and now it's been lost.
Sure.
People do not understand that the government, you also got to realize that back in the day, ladies and gents, look up, do your homework, is just like Jonah said, no tax training, is that you probably went to school from an American associated public school, and they're the ones who make the laws and all that. You got to understand that they've told you their particular story.
Right.
And their particular story is that you should, and it's good to do all these things, but you've got to go all the way back. If you go back to the early 1900s in the 20th century here, you've got to realize that your great-great-great-grandparents did not think that. You've been taught those things.
Sure.
They did not have to pay income taxes. They did not, in most cases, think it was right. Okay, fair. It's not in the Constitution originally. They made an amendment for it so they could come get your money.
I think for a lot of people, and I'm trying to bring awareness to a lot of people right now, but I'm thinking if you really go look at that paycheck, so if you ask somebody what they make, they immediately almost will tell you their net income. Like immediately, right?
What they take? Yes.
I make $40,000 a year. That's what I make, you know, myself personally.
Okay.
But that's not true. What's happening is you make 60 and income tax takes 20. So all you get to take home is 40, right? That's not actually what you're making. So when Jeremiah's saying your taxes are your greatest, say it one more time, your taxes actually
your greatest expense,
throughout your life. That's what he's talking about, right?
Right.
It's the fact that you actually make $100,000, but after income tax and the government takes some of your money, you're left with 70.
Yeah. So and I think that most adults and working people understand that really well, because that's where they get to. But actually, when you first start that first job, when you start working at the fast food or the grocery store, you think about it differently, because they told me I was making $10 an hour. I work 20 hours. I expect $200.
I've seen lots of like funny videos and stuff about that, right? That very first paycheck, and they open it up. Oh, that $10 an hour. I worked 30 hours. Here comes the 300, and they open it up, and it's
and they open it up, and they're like,
go.
And the term that I saw back in the day that I agreed with when I started first working at the grocery store was like, mother FICA, right? Because FICA taxes come and get your money, right? Because you think you're going to make this. So, yeah, I think that, like I said, folks who just started in the workforce actually assume, and they get maybe come out of college and they say, hey, they're going to get $50,000 a year in this job. But then they're taking home something and they're like, this is not equaling
35, 36, whatever, right, because of income tax. Now, I'll also say this statement. I said it up front. I said I think that the average W-2 person does not think that they're overpaying, even though they are. The reason I said that is because the average W-2 person at the end of the year with no tax training is going to try to do their own taxes, and they're not trained to do it.
And
therefore,
what happens?
They're overpaying.
So you think that the average person who does their own taxes and they get some tax software, right?
Yeah,
or they just do it. They get some papers from the office or the library, the first place I got paperwork.
Sure.
They just are overpaying.
They just are overpaying because they don't know all of the tax code. They don't know all of the deductions. And they're trying to say, oh, well, these tax services and sites and programs have made it so easy. You just type in all the numbers. But that is widespread and not specific to your situation at all, right? They can't get every single person right that comes through the software. That's not how the software is built. The software is built to, let's get the majority of it right. Right? I mean, think about it like anything.
Right.
Now, the statement I want to make is this. I think that the average business owner or 1099 employee knows they're overpaying. So I think W-2 people are overpaying and they don't think they are.
Okay.
I think 1099 folks, business owners, are overpaying and they know they're overpaying. They just don't know how to stop it.
Those are good statements.
Those are my two. I'm sticking by it.
And those people who are in their own money management, cash flow, business equation are just way more conscious of what's going in and coming out.
Yep.
And the average person, which most of us do have jobs out there, don't even know. They don't think about it, and they think it's someone else's job to handle their money. This is just how it's going to be. My job is to do more offense and just make more, and that will help. Meanwhile, business owners go, look, you can make all you want, and if it goes out the window to the IRS, it ain't helping.
Sure.
Yep. Okay, so we got to talk about this for a second. First off, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, is a tax collection entity of the government, ladies and gentlemen. It is not a tax education arm of the government. They don't teach you anything. They look at what is being reported on two sides. Number one, from you or anybody who's paid you or your employer. And they look at your numbers and their numbers to try to calculate what you owe. Their job is to get it. That's it. Not to help you at all. So I think also in my educational background, I didn't even realize that, right? You just assume that someone out there
could help you.
Is trying to help you.
Or trying to make sure that you're taken care of or you did it right or anything like that. And that's not what they're doing.
That is not what they're doing at all. Some of you understand that pretty well. Right. But. So it's funny that you say, though, on a personal level, that you talk about, look, the average person is doing their own stuff with some sort of booking, maybe even software out there, and they're not getting it right. Because that's what I told you about 8-9 years ago, and you didn't believe me.
That's right. Well, the reason I'm saying is because that's where I came from, absolutely. But I still, to this day, can name off 100 people that I know that really, truly believe they're doing it right because of their W-2. And I'm going...
Well, if they're your friends, because I was trying to tell you for like 2-3 straight years, look, man, I think you're overdoing it.
Yeah.
Like it says right here, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you got to go talk to this person. They keep saying it's going a lot better for me to actually pay them to do it, double or triple, but then I'm not having to send the government thousands.
Sure. Right. And I just think, I can name 100 people that really, truly believe I'm doing it right because the computer software, the system, the website, whatever told me I was, so I'm good.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just not the case.
And it's simple, and I can go really quickly. Yeah. And that's totally fine. Obviously, we want simplicity and ease. But this is what happened to us. So our journey started to change, actually, before we understood banking. And I bumped into I was doing business. So first off, I'm a business owner. Now I'm about 4 or 5 years into that process. And I realized that it was wrong because someone told me, hey, this is not really how the system works. How the system is worked and is written is to help people the IRS is designed to make it very easy for them to collect taxes. Once again, it's now in paychecks, right? And they go ahead and grab it before you can get to it, so you don't know it's there. Well, you do know in the stub, right?
Yep.
But they'll go get it before you can, and they go fund the government with that, and they go fund programming with that. They take it, right? It's gone. But the tax code has always been there to benefit people who create those other people. In other words, the tax code is helping people who have businesses do better in businesses, pay less taxes so they can grow their business economies that will in turn produce more employees that can pay taxes. The government needs productive taxpayers to fund their operation. And even then, of course, at this time in the whole 27 trillion or something crazy like that.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go back for a second here. I first understood my taxes a little bit in this manner. Our mom told me when I'm about 15 to go to the library and grab one of those 1040 EZs off the counter. And
did they name it easy on purpose?
100%.
They had to, right?
Simple form. Yeah. 1040 EZ and go fill it out. And I'm like, go fill it out. What does this mean?
Yeah.
I just,
even though it's 1040 easy, if you don't know what you're doing, it is not easy.
No,
There's
because
so many blanks.
It doesn't even start there. Here's another thing about what we're going to talk about is it really starts when you go get a job, start a business, right? And how you organize it. Or secondly, when you go get a job and then they take you in that meeting and they say, fill this out for your withholdings.
Yeah, that's
how many you got? What does this mean?
Yeah,
y'all just taught me how to bag the grocery.
That's true.
I don't even know what this means.
Yeah.
And it starts there.
I agree with that. The W-9 or the I-9 or whatever state, whatever you've got in your state, right?
All of them.
Yeah, it does. I agree with that. It does start there. 'Cause that's happened to me a bunch of times. Like, oh no, what number do I put in this blank?
They're like, just put as many as you can. Or, hey, is it just you? Are you single? Are you married? They ask you a bunch of, and you're wondering, are these trick questions? I'm 17. Yes, I'm single. Are you claiming yourself? Is your mom claiming you? I don't know what that means.
Yeah. It's like we didn't. When were we supposed to talk about that?
They
were
were
supposed to come in here to bag the groceries.
Right. This is what they taught me in school yesterday. That H means hydrium, HE means helium. I don't. And how many times have you used that, by the way?
True.
Since you got out of school.
I mean, it's nice to know.
There's a lot of things
hydrogen.
That what else is nice to know? How to do your taxes.
Easy ones off of the periodic table.
Those are the two I remember.
Okay, but if you said like
fluoride, fluorine.
Yeah, I'm not using F. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. So that's what we were studying in school. Of course, we had a lesson over taxes, but how did that a lesson? I do them all the time, and taxes are always a part of my life.
Sure.
And I spend a lot more time on triangles in school, which I don't care about and don't use. So here's what we need to help you guys discover is first off that we started out just like you. And through college, we could telefile. You remember that? I guess you could probably still do it.
I don't remember that.
I had my roommate in college look at my numbers and stubs, and he would sit on the phone in a dorm and hit the buttons for me. He'd telefile for me.
That seems terrible.
Yeah, he'd be on for 2 hours, and he'd telefile for me. I just had to buy him lunch, and I was like, sounds great, because I don't know anything. My mom made me go pick up 1040 EZs
very bad
from the library. So I just gave it to him, and
that was not easy.
And I literally thought it was easy for me. I would be studying, and he would be on the phone. And I literally thought that if I don't do this right or well, I'm going to get huge fines or go to jail. And I think that also limits people's ability to learn more because they think they'll be in some sort of big trouble. If it's wrong or if TurboTax must be sponsored by the American government. So if they tell me it's fine, then I'll be fine too, right?
Yeah.
No, not how it works. Okay, so let's fast forward. So what happened was after several years of things like this, I wasn't even filing my own stuff.
Okay.
I get to the place where I do own a business and I have a huge tax bill due to the government. I'm very upset about it. I've never paid more than $900 out before, and I've always had help from people.
Okay.
This particular year, I have a $9,000 bill that's due to the federal government. This is 2014. And I was upset. That was all of my extra cash, all my cash that I had laying around. I got married in 2013, so now I really understand that I need more money. We're having a baby that year. And in 2014, $9,500 goes straight out the window. And somebody who does tax preparation tells me there is better strategy for what you need to do.
Okay.
Now, when I hear that, I know there's better strategy, because my strategy is really embarrassing if I told them.
Going back to my statement, right? Business owners overpay, and they know they're overpaying. They just don't know what to do about it.
Correct.
Right.
I got a shoebox of receipts, right?
Okay. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
really, right?
Really,
I got a
that's
shoebox
real
of
life.
receipts. I'm 30 years old. I don't know. I've worked a regular W-2 job for 4 or 5 years, and now I've been a business owner for a couple, and I don't know what to do. I just know you can write off mileage. That's all I know. So try to rack up miles that maybe you drove and maybe you didn't, and try to get the number to come down.
Definitely miles you drove, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's all I know. So what happens is I turn my done tax file from that year over to my new friend, and she says that she can amend the taxes. She can go back. You can take a closed file for that year, go back and fix anything that was missing, outstanding, because she had asked me whether or not I had given this or considered this or put this paper in or whatever when I'd filed. And I said, no, I literally have gone to the same silent auction 2 years in a row, bought tax service at a silent auction because I saw it, bid on it for half the price, got it 2 straight years, and then make them do it.
Okay.
And that's my strategy. And they asked me for mileage. She said, there's so much more. There's actual strategy that you can do. See, this is how it was written. See, the tax code is around, I've heard this several times, so maybe it's kind of common knowledge, but I've heard the tax code is about 11 pages.
Okay.
The exemption is 1,100.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot more than the code.
That is a lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire tax system is written in America to say how much the government is going to get, and all of these are the ways and means and reasons that you don't have to send money. The exemptions, 1,100 plus pages, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning for me. What happened was, in that particular instance, is about a month later, the federal government sends me a check of $4,500
Back to you.
back to me.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It was gone. The check had cleared. It had been cleared for a month by the time I met this person. I just showed up to a literal party complaining to people I did not know that well about my tax bill. And one said,
Yeah.
let me take a look.
So I think one of the biggest things for me, one of the biggest things that I've learned over the past 10 years of going from W-2 employee, doing it myself, absolutely no tax training, nothing, no tax preparer stat, nothing. Doing it myself, thinking I'm good, doing it myself, to becoming a business owner, having going through at least 2 different tax preparers, I guess, at this point, to where, hey, should we do it like this? Should we do it like this? One of the biggest things that I've learned, biggest takeaway, is kind of what you mentioned earlier. There are a difference between a tax preparer and a tax strategist. There's a big deal. I didn't realize that up front. Again, a tax preparer is going to take all the documents, all the stubs, all the everything you get, the 299s. He's going to take all the receipts. You give it to them, and they pay the government. They tell you what to pay the government.
Tell you what to pay the government
based on what all those papers say. That's what the tax preparer does. That's normally what the everyday accountant's going to do for you. A tax strategist is going to tell you right here, right now, you should be doing things this way. Therefore, at the end of the year, you don't have to give all the government all the money.
And it's written that way in the code.
Yes.
It's
and
okay.
That is a huge, huge difference and big deal to understand. Right now, I've been doing it this way for a year, but if I keep doing it this way, I keep having to pay. So I actually need to stop and do it this way. A lot of times it's accomplishing the exact same thing you were trying to accomplish. You just need to know it can't go through that channel. It's got to go over here through this channel because of that's how
it's the way you qualify here. And
then once you do that, you
it.
can then at the end of the year stop having to pay so much in money. You get $4,500 back if you've overpaid. That's a really big deal. Another thing, second kind of subcategory that was a big deal, is just learning that you could go back and amend things. I always assumed, probably wrongfully assumed, but always assumed, don't want to amend
Because then they're going to go find the stuff that
seems like a lot.
I just threw out. I threw one shoebox out because I didn't know what to do with it.
It's like, ooh, don't want to really amend. That doesn't seem good. No way. If you weren't doing it right, go back and amend. Oh, again, get someone, a professional who knows what they're doing to go back and amend.
Yes, and in a lot of cases, you can go back 3 years. You can go back 3 years and fix things. I also didn't remember a tax preparer, like Jonah said, is perfect. Is a person who is just taking the information you hand them and preparing your taxes for the IRS, who's the collection agency.
Right.
So I'm thinking that is the person who keeps me out of jail. Does it make sense?
Sure.
That's all their job is. Hey, how much do I owe? Just pray to God that I've got it sitting in an account because I now owe it. And I don't want to owe it over a long time. I don't have to pay payments. I just hope that I have enough. That is a completely different philosophy of who's going to help me or how can I potentially limit my liability to the IRS.
Yep.
Because in a personal fashion, which is not everybody's personal philosophy, but I think most of the people who listen to us is, I'm not trying to pay the government more money.
I'm trying to give them what's due to them and no more.
That's it.
Right.
I'm trying to, how do I minimize what I'm allowed to send you?
Right. So
And
I think
yeah.
my statement, and I'm sticking to it, is this. If you did not have a tax strategist help you, you overpaid. And if you overpaid, you got to get a tax strategist to help you not overpay.
Boys and girls.
That also means you got to go back and amend some years of taxes.
That's true, too. Go back a couple years. Yeah, go back 2 or 3 years.
You didn't have a tax strategist. I get that a lot of business owners have accountants. They have the tax preparer. They have their guy, their family friend, whatever, and I get that. That person is normally a tax preparer. They're not helping you. They're not helping you strategize about what you should be doing to not overpay.
And you think they are. You've always thought they were.
But they're not. That's not their job. There's not their job title. There's not their job description. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't have a strategist, you overpaid. And if you overpaid, that also means you need to get a strategist and then go back and amend because you've got money coming back to you.
So what are the 1 or 2 things that you can tell us right now where people are overpaying? What everybody wants to get down to the nitty gritty. Hey, so where am I overpaying?
Sure. I don't think I've got that answer for you. Unfortunately, I told you up front, I don't have the tax background. I don't know what I'm doing, but we've got good news for you. We, as of just this week, literally just this week, have a tax course available on our site, thecashcompound.com. And here's the best part of that tax course. You don't have to listen to us because we don't have any tax, we don't have a tax background. We don't know. We're just repeating what we've heard from people who do. So in our new tax course, you're actually going to be able to hear from Courtney Epps, who is a tax strategist and preparer, both. And of course, she has got all the licenses that you need to be able to listen to her. I think her latest one is an EA, which
enrolled agent
stands for enrolled agent, which is a IRS title or something like that. So she knows what she's talking about.
And we know most of you have not heard of that because you think the best thing is CPA, and a CPA is a preparer.
Yeah.
Accountant.
Right.
Yes.
But she's an EA, enrolled agent. And that means basically, I don't know exactly what it means. I've got no tax background, but I think it means you should probably pay attention to what she's saying. Anyway, in our tax course right now, you're going to be able to hear from Courtney Epps, again, a tax strategist who gives tips and tricks that you can do right now to stop overpaying. We've actually got an entire section of her stuff, literally her stuff about what you should do if you own a brick and mortar business, what you should do if you have a home-based business, how you can get out of this money, how you can qualify for this thing. We've got a whole section of that in there where then she just goes over it step by step, and we've got her link in there. You can talk to her, you can talk to us. We want to help you, but realistically, 1 or 2 things I can tell them is, hey, you better go check out our course on thecashcompound.com because that's where you're going to get the information from.
Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, also realize that the people that we partner up with are specialized in what they do. We're going to stay in our lane and help you with banking, but everybody that we do partner with knows banking.
Yep.
So what does taxes and banking have to do with each other? What are some of the things that we can remind people of that, hey, when you're banking, you've got to realize that you're not liable for X. You are liable for this. This is how it grows. This is how it works. Let's just remind people of some of those fundamentals when it comes to IRS and banking.
Sure.
What we always call Uncle Sam when we're doing presentations and demos.
A lot of people just always are asking about the loans. Do I have to pay taxes on the loans? What happens if I get more loan money than I put in? What happens if I keep paying the premium? What happens with the death benefit? They just want to know how that all relates to taxes. Those questions are answered in that course, absolutely answered. A lot of people ask a lot of times as well, what happens if it's a very common question. People who practice banking don't normally ask after a year or two, but the first timers ask a lot. Mm-hmm. What happens if I can't pay next year? Are there taxes on that? What if I've taken a loan? What if I couldn't pay it back? How does that work tax-wise? And so we've got those answers inside that course where you can go and get to it at any time. Here's the best part about that course. I think we've got that course listed right now at $20.
That's true.
$19.99.
And it will save you thousands of dollars. Yeah, so just jump right in there, ladies and gentlemen.
I think, I want to say one more thing. I think Courtney Epps, the EA who we're working with to build that course, I think she even says, hey, if I go back and amend your taxes, I think she says she can find $1,000, 2 or 3.
No, 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Mine was $4,500.
That's literally like her claim to fame. Let me go back and amend their taxes, and I'll find you 4 to 5.
The average person who is a business owner, especially business, if you have any type of business, average, I'll go back and amend. She has a program for that. She has people that help her with that. $4,500. That's literally what I got, and that's awesome. How we became buddies 5-6 years ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. So, Tax 101 is what you're looking for in our course library. Stick with us for a lot more things when we're talking about money, mathematics, growing your wealth, and the strategy behind cracking the code to cash flow.